Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus exclaimed, "I bless you, Father, Lord of heaven and of earth, for hiding these things from the learned and the clever, and revealing them to mere children. Yes, Father, for that is what it pleased you to do. Everything has been entrusted to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, just as no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labor and are overburdened, and I will give you rest. Shoulder my yoke and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Yes, my yoke is easy, and my burden light." The Gospel of the Lord. Today we commemorate and give thanks to God for the life and witness of St. Catherine of Siena, a 14th century mystic who spent the latter part of her life working and praying for peace, peace between the nations of Europe, the city-states of Italy, and peace within the Church, for this was the time of the schism, when there were two popes and two centers of faith. Over the house in which she was born and lived in Siena, a church has been built, and it is a beautiful, peaceful, quiet place to visit. The body of St. Catherine of Siena lies in the church of Santa Maria sopra Minerva in Rome, the titular church of Cardinal Cormac. But her head can be seen and is on display in the church of St. Catherine, the Dominican church in Siena. She loved and wrote extensively about the great mystery of the Holy Trinity. She loved God and she loved Jesus. And I'm sure that she, although we don't have many of her writings on this subject, I'm sure she loved the mother of Jesus too. And so I hope she won't be too annoyed with me if I don't say more about St. Catherine, but speak about Our Lady, because that's what you would expect on a day with Mary. As it happens, I came back on Thursday evening from taking part in the first diocesan pilgrimage to Fatima. And as you know, the Day with Mary is founded and built around the message of Fatima. So it couldn't have been more appropriate. Many of you will have been to Fatima and will know it well. I haven't been for about 15 years. Great preparations are in hand for the 13th of May, the centenary of the first apparition, when our Holy Father Pope Francis will be in Fatima to mark the occasion, and when, as you know, he will be raising to the altars of the Church, canonizing two of the three little shepherds, Blessed Jacinta, Blessed Francisco. Since I was there last, an enormous new basilica has been built, partly underground, a great new open-air altar, where the Holy Father will celebrate Mass on the 13th of May. Sister Lucia, the oldest of the three visionaries, has now been buried in the old basilica alongside Blessed Jacinta. We visited, of course, the tombs and made our devotions there. I don't know whether the tomb of Blessed Francisco had changed since I was there last, but I don't remember seeing around the sort of tombstone above the grave a number of birds. Not real birds, but birds cast in bronze. If they were there, I hadn't seen them before. We think today of the promises made to these little shepherds 100 years ago. We think of Our Lady's words to them, and we think of the message of Fatima. And there are two particular aspects of that message that I want to think about briefly with you this morning. The first, devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, centered on those words of Our Lady herself to the angel when she said, "I am the handmaid of the Lord." In faithful trust and obedience, she accepted the unique vocation and task that God had destined for her. She didn't know what lay ahead, what sacrifices it would involve, what pain, what anguish, what suffering, nor what joy and glory. "I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let what you have said be done to me." She opened her heart. The heart we think of as the center of our being. So we talk about speaking from the heart, coming from the very center, the soul, the core of who and what we are. Mary opened her heart and said yes to the task that God had for her. Her will, her temperament, her sensitivity, all combined in that word, yes. When we consecrate ourselves to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, we too are saying yes to God. We are uniting ourselves with Mary's loving trust and obedience. We are, as it were, opening our hearts as she opened hers, knowing that she will lead us to her Son, because Mary always points not to herself, but to her Son. And through the Immaculate Heart of Mary, we are led and drawn into the mystery of the Sacred Heart of her Son. He who says to us in the Gospel today, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden. I am gentle and humble of heart. My yoke is easy and my burden light." Helped, led, guided, encouraged by the Immaculate Heart, let us renew our faith and trust and come to the one who draws us to his Sacred Heart. And the second emphasis of Fatima that I would mention is the Rosary. In every apparition to those three little shepherds, Our Lady said to them, "Pray the Rosary." She herself, when she appeared to them, was seen holding the Rosary. Pope St. John Paul II said, "The Rosary is my favorite prayer." It is so simple and yet so profound. those simple, well-known words which trip off our tongues, lead us into the great mysteries of our faith. The Rosary opens to us the gospel. The Rosary draws us into the great mysteries of the Lord's passion, death, resurrection, and ascension, and into Our Lady's Assumption and coronation. As a child, I didn't know the Rosary. I didn't grow up in a Catholic home. I discovered the Rosary in my 20s. And somebody, my spiritual director, encouraged me to use it. I found it rather hard going to begin with, but gradually, through persevering, I began to appreciate it, and I now could say with our late Holy Father, it is my favorite prayer. I have found it an enormous help, a prayer that I can use in time of suffering, in time of need, in time of emptiness, a time when no other prayers seem to come. The Rosary is always there. How good it would be if our families could go back to that tradition of the family Rosary, recited perhaps round the dining room table, the kitchen table. How important it is for you and I, children of Mary, to pray our daily Rosary, to pray as she asked us to do, to pray for peace, to pray for penance, to pray for sinners, to pray for ourselves. As we pray the Holy Rosary, may our faith grow, and may the Immaculate Heart bless all those who use this prayer. Bless us, our loved ones, our homes, and our families, as we journey ever closer to the day when we shall come to the one who says to us, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Ave Maria.